So the Power Virtual Agent is a part of the Microsoft Power Platform, and it is used to create chatbots, AI-enabled chatbots that you can find sometimes at the lower right-hand corner of your website. And it can be used for so many things. For example, you can use it to collect, maybe to be able to interact with your customers, right? Because your staff cannot work around the clock every day and every time. They cannot work 24/7. So it is good that you have a virtual assistant that when customers need answer to questions, maybe for example, I wake up by 12 a.m. and I need to make a certain order, maybe for a cake, I should have something that will speak to me if, since the staff will not be around at that time to help me. So this is the content. This is supposed to be the content of this session, but I'm going to shorten it because of time. So this is like an introduction to Power Virtual Agent. Like I said, it is part of the Microsoft 365 Power Platform. So you can create it with no code at all. You just need to know how to, pick and drop using the self-service solution in Microsoft Power Platform. So with PVA, you can answer customer questions. You can also help employees. So now PVA can not only be used for to answer or to help your customers to answer questions. You can also use PVA amongst your team. For example, you can create a bot and publish it or deploy it to Microsoft Teams. So when you employ a new member, instead of having to onboard them every time and tell them exactly what to do, there could be a bot that answers specific questions for that employee. Now you have told the bot what exactly to do. So all you need to do is to give the employee the prompts to put into that bot, and then, or you can call it trigger too. So whatever trigger that person gives the bot, it gives it response, and then it can continue from there. So you can use Power Virtual Agent to engage with your customers and employees in different languages. When we go practical, you can see so many of the languages that you can use. And also, you can embed it to mobile applications. You can embed it to Facebook, Microsoft Teams, and any other channel that is supported by the Azure Bot framework. So there are different use cases that PVA is helpful for. So you can easily create chatbots, like I said. You don't need to run any lines of code. Then you can also integrate Power Automate to help your bots to be able to take action. For example, you want your customers or you want a particular query to be able to be sent to your email when a customer prompts a request. You can integrate Power Automate with Power Virtual Agent to be able to access that. Also, you can measure and monitor performance of your bot. So there is a tab in the interface that shows you how your bot is performing with customers. And also you can do a Q&A with your bot. You can show customer hours and store information. So there are so many things that you can do with your chatbot. Now, the benefit of using chatbots for your business, you don't miss a sales opportunity. For example, I said, if I wake up by 1 a.m. and I need to purchase a cake around that time, I might not have access to your workers, but at least I'll get somebody that can answer my question. So it can also improve customer service. Imagine I need to, like I said, make that sale or need to make inquiry, and there is something that responds to me at the immediate time that I need it. As a customer, I'll be satisfied that you actually care about me. So, and it could also give your customer service team help because your customer service team cannot work over the clock always and always. So all they need to do is to just embed this chatbot to the website, and then it can help to do all of those things. So part of what I've been saying is just what I outlined here. So this bot is enabled by AI. So you can create intelligent conversational chatbots without running codes. You can engage better. It is anytime support. The chatbot, so long you embed it to your website, it's always available. And you don't need to employ the services of a software engineer or developer to be able to create one. Just know how to, pick and drop and understand the interface, and yeah, you are good to go. And it also saves time, it makes your customers to be able to your staff to be able to focus on more important things and also leave the basic questions for the chatbots to answer. Then it also helps with improved customer service. So you can deploy it to many of these tools. When you go to the UI, you see it there. You can embed it on Facebook, on Skype, on Slack, your maybe your company website, and also on Microsoft Teams. So now this is like the conclusion. So in Nigeria here we have banks like UBA and Zenith. So I try to use something simple to be able to explain this to people and bring it home. So there's Leo, that is a virtual assistant for UBA Bank, and there is also Ziva, that is also a virtual assistant for Zenith Bank. So the diagram I have below is something that shows you how a chatbot is on a website. Like I said, sometimes it's on the lower right hand corner of your screen, sometimes it's on the left. It could be anywhere depending on the developer. So now I'm just going to um okay, I think the next slide is supposed to be let's build. So we are going to just build something around that right now. So please give me a minute. Okay. So when you have your Microsoft 365 account, it does not exactly show Power Virtual Agent inside. So what you do is you type aka.ms/pva home. I don't know if you would want me to put that in the chat. I think I can. I can do that.
Well, we can put it in the chat.
Okay. Can somebody help me with that, or do I need to, do that by myself? I think I'll just put it in the chat. Give me a minute. Okay, so I have aka.ms/pva. Okay, so Fred said he knows of UBA Leo. Okay, thank you. So I'll just go over. I'll go back to. Okay, so you can start free. You can also take a guided tour to show you how you can create a bot by yourself. And there is also a community for PVA users. You can go there and then learn and ask questions, also connect with people. There is a place to learn. And if you also want to check out the pricing, you have it here. You can go ahead and check that. So for us to go practical now, we are just going to sign in. So like I said before, PVA can be used, it can be learned by anybody. So I love the idea about Microsoft Power Platform that it gives everybody access to be able to do whatever it is that they need to do. You can build amazing solutions without even running any line of code. So I'm just going to run us through how the user interface for Power Virtual Agents looks like, and also we'll just run over one simple bot, and then we can call it a night from me and maybe a day for you. So the network has to be really stable. Okay, so this is how it is showing this because I am already signed in. But if you are new, it's going to directly move you to where you can create your chatbot. So this is like the welcoming message. Welcome to the new Power Virtual Agent. So the thing is, one thing I've noticed is this UI is always being updated. It has always been updated every time and every time. So some of these things were not there before, but they are here now. So this is how the UI looks like. If you want to know how to be able to build a chatbot, or you want to understand the life cycle of a bot in Power Virtual Agent, you can click on any of these videos and watch them, and they give you an overview of what it is or what it looks like to build a bot using PVA. And this also gives you an insight of the evolution of Power Virtual Agent. You can also come here to join the community, to share your thoughts, and then get hands-on on building your bot. So here you can create your chatbot. You can use the build for production and the unified canvas. I've never tried this before because I'm not really used to this new part of the new UI of PVA. What I use mostly is build for production. So over here we have chatbot, and this holds all of the bots that I've created over time. When you scroll down, you see the names of the bots that I've created in my environment. over time, right? So, for example, I want to be able to work on any of these bots. I can just, maybe I want to click on this Edo Innovate Customer Care, right? So, this is a bot we created recently in one of the boot camps that we had in our state here. So if I want to use that same bot, I can just click on it. If I want to make changes to the bot, I can come here and make changes. But if not, if I would like to create a new chatbot, I just have to come to where I have chatbots here, and then I select a new chatbot. Also, I can import chatbots from a different environment. For example, I want to be able to import chatbots from a different environment or maybe from a different account. I can import that and bring it here. So what we are going to do is to click on new chatbots because we want to create a different chatbot for this particular program. So I'm going to click on new chatbots and build for production. So I'm just going to name my bot. I can decide to call it customer care helper because I want it to be able to answer some questions from my customers. So, like I said in the introduction, there are different languages that you can run through for your bot. But out of all of these languages, at least for now, the language that I understand so well is English. So I'm going to select English and then I will create my bot. So you have to wait for maybe some time for your bot to load depending on the strength of your network. So when this comes up, we can now go over all of them. So there are various parts to creating a chatbot. You need to be able to include topics, right? So the topics is like the body of the bot. I'm so sorry if I'm going too fast. I'm trying to work with time, but I hope when we go practical, you get what I'm saying.
Yep,
But I
you're
hope
doing.
I'm not.
No, you're doing great.
Okay, thank you. So while we are still waiting for the bot to come up, I'll just explain that the bot is one. You can be working on one particular bot, but in that your bot you can have series of topics. You can have so many topics in your bot. You can have 10 topics. It depends on what you want. Depends on the use case of your bot and what you're trying to do, right? So this is my bot now. If you look here, you see that it is showing the name of my bot, customer care helper. So now what I can do is to just come here and continue with my bot. This is the overview. You can check as much as you want. So you want to suggest topics, you can click here. You want to test your bot. The good thing about PVA is you don't have to wait until you have finished creating the whole bot to be able to test it. You can test as you are creating. So as you are creating it, you are testing, you are creating, you are testing it. Then after creating your bot, you can publish it, right? And you can deploy it if you really want to. So I'm just going to explain some of the tabs that we have here. Like I said, this is the overview. But if you come here, we have the topics. So the topics is like the body of the bot. So the topics, they contain the prompts and the responses that you get. So there are certain trigger phrases that you input into your bot such that when a customer or an employee uses that trigger, it calls out this particular topic to answer that question in the particular chatbot. So when you look here, you see this part that the status is always on. You cannot turn this off. So all of these topics here, they are default topics in Power Virtual Agent. So with these ones, you can always come and tweak it. So we have the greeting topic. When you click on greeting, it shows you everything. This is the trigger phrase for greeting. This is the message that follows. Okay, let me try and test this so you see what I'm talking about. So I'm just going to reload this. So I think network is really bad right now. I'll just continue. So the end for entity is right. The entity is trying to show how your bot relates with whatever prompt or response that is given to it. For example, when you put in age, you put in 24, PVA identifies it as an age or a number depending on the context, right? And when you put true or false, it sees it as a boolean, right? And when you see it says red, pink, blue, it sees it as a color. Then city, it sees when you, for example, you have Nigeria, you have Canada, whatever, it sees it as city or as region. So it has all of these entities inside that makes it possible for it to be able to read what the customer or the user is imputing and to be able to give it the required feedback. Also, we have analytics. Like I said earlier, there's a part that has here, this is the start date and this is the end date. So you are trying to check the customer satisfaction from this particular date to this particular date, how your customer is relating with your bot and which topic is even triggering the most, right? And then for publish, you can come here and publish your bot. Then if you want to also move forward to be able to deploy it to places, this is where you can, these are the channels that you can deploy your bot into, or maybe I could say embed. So for Microsoft Teams, right, you don't need to create it in a browser like this. You can create your Power Virtual Agent from inside of Microsoft Teams and then it goes live directly. So for settings, you can just go over this to see, you know what settings does, just to check how your environment works. You can come here and then make the changes that you would want, right? So I will just go ahead and create something small. So okay, I think we already created a chatbot. I'll just go back. So we created this one now. So you can check the time. There's supposed to be a way to check the time here. Okay, a few seconds ago. So I'm just going to click on this customer care helper that we created right now, right? So hope it loads on time. So inside of this bot, we already have the default topics, which I already showed us before. So if I come back to greetings, like I said earlier, all of these things, you can edit them to suit whatever responses or whatever use case that you want them to suit. So I come to greetings, right? I have greetings and I want to be able to test this bot, right? So I'm going to pick any of the trigger phrases from here. Say I type hello, right? And then this is the response that I get because this is what has been imputed into it. So these are the trigger phrases. It means if I tell my bot any of the phrases here, I get this response. Hi, I'm a virtual agent. I can help with account questions. I get all of these responses. Then now the reason why it is showing this is because I've not triggered. For example, when I say store opening, so it might not understand what I'm trying to ask. So it will ask me again to clarify. Did you mean any of this? I could say, okay, maybe none of this, and it will apologize and tell me if I would want to rephrase. So this is actually limited because it is the default that came with PVA. We can always create our own by ourselves. So now I would want to tweak this a bit. I would want to change this. Instead of having, hi, I'm a virtual agent, I could say, hi, I'm Faith. I can help with account questions, orders, store information, and more. If you would like to speak to a human agent, let me know. So, what can I help you with today? I can decide to close this with a survey, and I might decide to just leave it. So, I'm just going to go ahead and save this topic. Okay, so now I want to be able to create another, what's it called now? Another topic. So, what I need to do is to come here and select new topic. I'll just go ahead and select from blank because we don't want to run any code. So we're just going to select from blank. And then I'll call this opening hours topic, right? So for the trigger phrases helps you, or it helps to make your customer to be able to put the right input. So I want to talk about when the stores will be open. I should be able to put all of the things. Now, what you will do in this case is to put yourself in the shoes of your customer or your employees. What do you think they would ask this bot for this particular use case? when you are talking about opening hours, what do you think your customers would want to ask? So you can say, what time are you open? Then your customer can also say opening hours. They can also say opening time, right? They can put as much as they want. They can say, what time do you resume, right? So you can put whatever you want to put, anything you feel like your customers would want to use to address the bot or converse with the bot, right? So these are the trigger phrases. Now, after all of these things, when my customer or an employee uses any of these prompts or triggers, I want my bot to be able to answer a question. So I could say, hello, and I'll say, the store is always open around, right? So I want to specify the days that the store will be open. Mondays to Fridays, I'd say 9 a.m. to, let's just say 3 p.m. Then maybe Saturdays. This is just like an example, right? So we could say 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. And you can decide to format this anyhow, any way you would like. So I always like to do it like this, but you can tweak it to suit whatever need that you want, right? So then this is what I have, right? And then I could now ask a question. So now with asking a question, depending on what you want, right? I could now say, what do you need help with? For example, we have two parts of the center. There is a technical part, and then there is a creative part. So I could ask questions that, which parts of the hub are you interested in? I don't know if I mentioned this earlier, but the case study we are trying to use here is like a hub that gives training to participants. So there are two parts to that training. There is the technical part where they teach you technical skills like maybe data analysis, Power Platform, AWS, and then there is the other creative part that shows you maybe how to sew, how to paint, and every other creative skill. So you might want to ask a question. You can say, what part of the hub are you interested in? Right? Now, my bot should be able to identify the response of my user. Now, I want to have multiple choice options because, like I said, we are we are thinking about two things. We are talking about two parts, the technical and the creative part. So I'm going to say technical hub, and then I'm going to add a new option. If you don't want to use this, you can use your keyboard and click enter. Then I could also call this part the creative hub, right? So this is what this is about. I'm trying to ask my user what part of the hub do they need help with so that it could help the answers that I would give them. Then I could also give this variable a name and call it hub type, right? So this is it. And then I could answer and say technical hub. I could also give them a question, and no, instead of asking a question again, I would want to show a message. I could say the, but this time I'm not going to call the technical hub again. What I will do is to call this variable because I have already called it, I've given it a variable name here. So instead of calling each of the options, I'm just going to call in the variable. So I could say the hub type is open for Mondays Mondays we have, let's say, 8 a.m. to say 2:30 p.m., right? And then I could also show a message for this and say the I'll call in the variable again. Okay, is open for, okay, I want this one to be open for Fridays. Fridays, say 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. Right? So here I can just end my conversation. So I'm going to do same thing here, but instead of ending again, I'll just connect these nodes together, and that ends this particular part of my topic creation. So I just went there to save. Now I can come here and test my bot. So I could just say, okay, I will just give me a minute to reload this. Okay. It's already past 11. Do I still have extra time or?
Yeah. If you want to go for a couple more minutes, that's perfectly fine.
Okay. So I'm just going to try to test this board. Still connecting, but I'll just type away. Okay. Network is still bad. So if we're not able to test the bot right now, I'll just, okay, so I guess we can. So I'll just type resume. So I want you to just see how our bot is going to respond to what we did right now. So type resume and then enter. So it will give you this and say, hello, the store is always open around this time. What part of the hub are you interested in? So if you click on technical hub, right, it is going to give you the response that is on that technical hub. If you recall, we called that particular type here. So it is going to address the technical hub. Did that answer your question? I could say yes. Then because I ended the survey, I ended the topic with a survey, it will just tell me to rate the experience. And then I could just rate the experience. And that's it. So I would want us to create one final topic and then we can leave it there. So I'll just go and create one new topic again from blank. So this time I want it to be hub, sorry, hub type, right? Yes. So I want this particular bot to speak to the different hub types, right? So I'm going to say creative because I'm not speaking about one hub now. I'm speaking to both hubs. I could say creative, I could say technical, then I could say AWS, I could say Power Platform, and then okay, so maybe data analysis, right? So yes. Now these are the triggers that I have. Then what is the when a customer or an employee triggers any of these phrases, what will be the following message? Now I'm going to type that. So I could say, hi, welcome. I could help or I can help you with information about the trainings available. I'm just going to format this, okay? Then I'm going to ask again. So I would ask a question this time. What skill are you interested in? So this time it's going to be a multiple choice question, like we did the first time. So maybe you want to do AWS restart or AWS cloud computing, or maybe you want to do Power Platform, mm, or you could want to do creative arts. So if you look at, you see, I'm going to close it so that we have more space on the screen, right? So if you look, you see that we have three nodes or three conditions here, because actually we have three options for the users. We have one for AWS, one for Power Platform, and the last one for Creative Act. So we are just going to call this training type. No. Okay. So then we'll come here again. I'm going to close this. So we come here and then we can leave a message under this and say, show a message. So when it shows this message, we want the message to say now I'm going to call in the variable, which is training type. This training already commenced, but please have your eyes out. Okay, eyes out on our website for more information. So that will be the end for that particular part, right? Then for Power Platform, I want my customers to be able to know that the training is still up. So show a message also, but this time I would say I'm going to call the training type. The Power Platform training will commence by next month. Please provide the following information to get registered. So following this, I'm going to ask a question because I have already told them that they should provide me with some information. So the next thing is going to be to ask a question. And the question might be, what is your name? Now, the idea here is that, though I'm not going to be showing us that part of how to automate here, but the idea is to be able to automate a back end to this so that when they give us this information, it automatically updates it on a form that gets them registered. So when you ask, what is your name? It will no longer be, the identity will no longer be multiple choice questions, but instead it will be a person's name. So we can come here and choose from the entities until we see person's name. Like I explained before, Power Virtual Agent identifies all of these identities, all of these entities rather. So now I don't want it to be var. I want it to be called a name. I'm just going to have that. Then I could also ask another question, right? And the next question would be, what days work for you? So now, because I don't want to restrict my users to be able to put only certain days, I'm going to leave it at the user's entire response. So the users can enter whatever response that they want. If you want to have Mondays through Fridays, it's fine. If you want to have only 2 days in the week, it's also fine. So I'm giving them the liberty to be able to choose whatever time that might work for them. So also I'm going to change this. Instead of having var, I'll change it to days.
Yeah, Faith,
Right?
I just want to give you a couple more minutes and then we can start wrapping it up. Does that work?
Yeah, sure. Just give
Awesome.
me like 4 minutes. I'll
Okay,
end
great.
it soon. Yeah.
Thank you.
So yeah, thank you. So I'm just going to add a question again, and the question will be, what is your email? So now the identity is going to be an email because what we are trying to put in is an email. So it's going to be an email, and I'm going to change this to have email. Yeah, so now the final message that I want it to have is to be able to show all of these things. So I can say, thank you, name, for applying or for applying to the, so now I'm going to put in the training type, training. You would be available for, so I'm going to put in the days. We would, sorry, we would get back to you through email. So that will be the end of this particular note. So I'm going to just close this with a survey. I'm going to end this conversation. So I'm also going to end this one. So because of time, I'll just end this one here so that we can test the bot. Okay, right? So now I just want us to test what we've created. So please follow me. I'm going to call any of the trigger phrases that we have here. I'm trying to test the bot now. Okay, I've not saved, so I have to save that. So it's saved now. I think I'll just go ahead and publish because of our time. I have only 2 minutes left. So I'll just come here. When I publish this, I can try it out on the demo website. So I'm just going to click on publish. So when you can always come back to work on your bot. So anytime you work on it and you have a new content, you just go ahead to publish. So now you can see that my published bot is good to go and my demo website can now have it. So I'm just going to click on this and then take it to the demo website, and then I can test it here. So I'm just going to say hi, and then it will respond. You see the name that I had changed is now here. So what can I help you with today? I want to say data analysis. So I could help you with information about trainings available. Which of them are you interested in? Oh, I'm interested in Power Platform. He said, okay, the Power Platform training. Then what's your name? My name is Faith. Then what days work for you? Mondays and Fridays. What's your email? Faith at yes. So there's going to be a final message. It will tell me, thank you, Faith, for applying to the Power Platform training. You would be available for Mondays and Fridays. We'll get back to you through this email that you have provided. So it will not ask me, did I answer your question? I could say yes. And then it will ask me to rate the experience. And then I could give it whatever that I want. And that is how to create a simple chatbot using PVA.